Maybe you're not lazy, maybe you're not unmotivated, and maybe you don't need another morning routine, another self-help book, or another video telling you to wake up at 5 a.m. Maybe the real reason you're not improving is because deep down, you don't actually believe you deserve the life you're trying to build. And I know that sounds harsh because consciously you're probably thinking, of course, I want a better life. Of course, I want to be confident. Of course, I want to be healthy. But wanting something and actually believing you deserve to have it are two completely different things. And I didn't understand this for a very long time. So, hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Joy, and this channel is basically about becoming the woman you know you can be. Mindset, health, confidence, and boundaries. And honestly, all the things I'm learning while trying to become a better version of myself too. I'm not sitting here pretending I have my entire life figured out because I don't. But there are certain things I've learned from moving abroad at 19, starting over, meeting different people, going through failed relationships, friendships, and honestly, losing myself a few times. And one of the biggest things I've realized is this: the way you see yourself affects everything you allow yourself to have. So today I want to talk about self-worth, but probably not in a way you normally hear about it. Have you ever noticed this? You decide, okay, this is it. Monday, new routine. You're going to eat healthy. You're going to work out. You're going to stop texting that person. You're going to work on your goals. You're going to become disciplined. And for maybe 2 days, 5 days, 2 weeks, if you're doing really well, you're doing everything. And then slowly you go back. You skip one workout, then another. You start talking to that person again. You stop working on your goals, and suddenly you're back in the same place. And then you blame yourself, why am I like this? Why can't I just be consistent? Maybe I'm just lazy. But here's something I've been thinking about. We naturally behave in ways that match the person we believe we are. If deep down you believe I'm not disciplined, every time you quit, you're proving yourself right. If you believe people always leave me, you might accept relationships where you constantly afraid of being abandoned. If you believe I'm not good enough, you might reject opportunities before anyone else even gets the chance to reject you. And that's the scary part. Sometimes we protect our old identity more than we protect our future because our old identity is familiar, even when it hurts. For me, one of the biggest patterns I had to recognize was people pleasing. And I didn't call it people pleasing back then. I thought I was just nice, understanding, patient, easygoing. I would say yes when I wanted to say no. I would ignore things that made me uncomfortable. I would see red flags and somehow convince myself maybe I'm overthinking, or maybe I just need to more understanding. And looking back, I wasn't always protecting the relationship sometimes. I was abandoning myself to keep the relationship. And that's a really uncomfortable thing to admit because it's easier to say, this person hurt me, than to ask, why did I keep accepting something that was hurting me? And I'm not saying that what someone did to you is your fault, but I started realizing I had responsibility for what I continued allowing in my life. That changed everything for me because I couldn't control other people, but I could start learning how to stop abandoning myself. I want you to really think about this. What do you tolerate right now? Not what do you say you want. What do you actually tolerate? Because sometimes we say, I want a healthy relationship, but we keep entertaining emotionally unavailable people. We say, I want to feel confident, but every morning we stand in front of the mirror and criticize ourselves. We say, I want to be successful, but we are too afraid to post the video. Start the business. Apply for the opportunity because somewhere deep inside, there's this little voice saying, who do you think you are? And oh my God, I know that voice. Even starting this page, even sitting here talking to a camera, there are moments where I think, who am I to talk about this? I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I don't have everything figured out. But then I realize maybe I don't need to be 10 years ahead of someone to share what I've learned. Maybe I can simply say, hey, I've been here too. This is what I'm learning, and maybe someone needs to hear that today. Sometimes we wait until we feel worthy enough to start. But maybe starting is how we become the person who finally believes she's worthy. And here's another thing, self-sabotage isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it looks completely normal. It's saying I'll start Monday, it's scrolling for 3 hours when you know there's something you want to work on. It's staying in a relationship where starting over feels scary. It's constantly planning, but never doing. It's buying another journal, another planner, watching another motivational video, but avoiding the one uncomfortable action that could actually change something. And I say this with love because I've done it. Sometimes learning feels productive, planning feels productive, thinking about your future feels also productive. But at some point, you have to move because you cannot think your way into a new life. At some point, your actions have to prove to your mind. We don't live like that anymore. And this is something I'm really learning right now. You don't build confidence by repeating, I'm confident, while constantly breaking promises to yourself. You build confidence through evidence. You say you're going to go for a walk, go. You say you're going to drink more water, do it. You say you're going to stop responding to someone who constantly disrespects you. Keep that boundary. You say you're going to work on your dream for 30 minutes, put your phone away and work. These things sound so small, and maybe that's why we underestimate them. But every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're telling your brain you can trust me. And every time you constantly break your own promises, you're teaching yourself the opposite. This is why I talk so much about self abandonment. Because choosing yourself isn't always some dramatic moment where you leave everything behind and completely change your life. And sometimes choosing yourself is going to bed when you said you would. Sometimes it's saying no. Sometimes it's going to Pilates. Sometimes it's eating the meal that makes your body feel good. Sometimes it's sitting alone instead of going back to someone just because you're lonely. That's self-trust. And self-trust changes the way you carry yourself. And I want to say something that might sound strange. Maybe part of you is scared of actually becoming the woman you keep saying you want to be. Because think about it. If you become her, some relationships might not fit anymore. Some habits have to go. You might have to disappoint people. You might have to say no. You might have to be seen. You might fail publicly. You might succeed, and suddenly people have opinions about you. Growth sounds beautiful on Instagram, but in real life, growth can be uncomfortable because becoming a new version of yourself requires you to stop protecting the old one. And maybe the old you kept you safe. Maybe people pleasing helped you feel accepted. Maybe staying quiet protected you from criticism. Maybe not trying protected you from failure. So don't hate the version of yourself. But understand you don't have to live there forever. So if you feel like you're stuck right now, I want you to ask yourself one question and actually sit with this. What would I do differently today if I genuinely believe I deserve the life I keep dreaming about? Would you take better care of your body? Would you finally set that boundary? Would you post that video? Would you apply for the job? Would you leave something you know is draining you? Would you stop talking to yourself like you're someone you hate? You don't need to change your life entirely tonight. Just create one piece of evidence, just one. Do one thing today that tells yourself, I'm becoming someone I can trust. Because maybe you're not waiting for motivation, maybe you're waiting for permission. And if no one has told you this yet, you are allowed to want more for yourself. But at some point, you have to start choosing it. So if this video felt a little too personal, then maybe you needed it. I want you to comment one thing you're going to do this week to stop abandoning yourself. Not 10 things, just one. And if you're on your own journey of becoming healthier, more confident, setting boundaries, and becoming the woman you know you can be, subscribe to my channel. We're figuring this out together. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!